Let's build Libromancer! And welcome back to Let's Build, the show where I sit down with an archetype I have never even read before and try to see if I could learn how to play it from scratch. I am Hardleg Joe, if you didn't know, joined today by Twitch chat. Say hello, Twitch chat. Say something nice. Hello. Something nice. Look at all. They're so happy to be there. They got cats in the chat. And today we're looking at Libromancer, which is it's a ritual archetype. It looks kind of cool. It's got some anime dudes on it. They're based around books, apparently. We found out by reading the Wikipedia that that's what the Libero stands for. It has to do with literature. So if you're unfamiliar with this show, I am not going to give you the best Libromancer build, or even necessarily a good Libromancer build. This show is not about perfect decks. It's about learning how to build decks from scratch. We're going to sit down, we're going to read all these cards up here, and we're going to try to see if we can figure out how to play this without net decking anything. So as always, when looking at a brand new archetype that you know nothing about, the best place to start is usually the field spell. Field spells tend to have unifying effects that give you hints as to how the whole archetype works. So let's go ahead and check out theirs. It's called Libromancer First Appearance. And I gotta say, it really just amazes me how field spells no longer even try to be fields. Like, what is this depicting? What field is this? It's not like the Libromancer school or the Libromancer book club. This is like an action happening. But I digress. When this card is activated, you can add one Libromancer monster from your deck to your hand, with a different name than the card you control, which is off to kind of a good start. I mean, they've got a field spell that searches something. There's a lot of good archetypes that do that. It's weird that they added the restriction. It doesn't seem that difficult to play around unless you're going to be swarming with the same cards or you want to control multiple cards. I can't imagine that's the case with a ritual archetype though. Okay, so the rest of this, during your main phase, you can ritual summon one Libromancer ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed its level. You can only activate one first appearance per turn. Okay, so this is interesting. You can only activate one copy of this card per turn, but as chat is pointing out, the effect to ritual summon is not a once per turn. It just says during the main phase, you can ritual summon. So as long as you have the materials, once you've got this field spell out, you could just ritual summon all day, baby. You could just keep going. That makes me really curious. Normally from here we would look at the ritual monsters, but they do have a ritual spell, and I'm kind of curious what this actually does. So let's check out this real quick. This card can be used to ritual summon any Libromancer. You must also tribute from your hands or field, equal or exceeding, okay. If you ritual summon Libromancer Fireburst using Libromancer Fire Starter, it cannot be destroyed or banished by card effects. I have no idea if this is good because I haven't read the ritual, so we're gonna wait on that. We'll put that as a maybe. Oh, and by the way, this field spell, this is a 3-up. This is absolutely a 3-up. I'd play 4 if I could. In fact, you know what? Let's just go ahead right now and put the terraforming in there. Because unless they have some way to search this really easily, you're going to want this. It searches your stuff and it ritual summons, which is really good in a ritual deck. Alright, so this is a first for this show. Normally, when I talk about looking at the monsters, I say it's best to start with the highest level ones first. But since this is a ritual archetype with a bunch of rituals, you want to start with those monsters first and see what they do. These are obviously going to be your payoffs, so you're going to be able to determine your win condition by looking at these, and then everything else will slot into place. It's the same thing if you find that your archetype has a whole bunch of Ixies or Synchros, you want to start with those first. As for which ritual to start with, I guess it's just the highest level. Let's see what this Libromancer Fireburst does. You can ritual summon this with a Libromancer card, of course. If this card was ritual summoned by using monsters on the field, it can't be destroyed by battle, and any battle damage it inflicts is doubled. And at 2800, that's quite a bit. This card can make up to 2 attacks during each battle phase, When a monster declares an attack, you can banish a Libromancer ritual from your graveyard, and this gains 200 attack. Okay, so the battle phase thing is kind of silly, especially since it's only 200. It's at least permanent, but this definitely seems like an OTK enabler. 2800, attacking twice on monsters and doing double battle damage. And that's any damage it inflicts. So even if this is on an open field, absolutely nothing, you're doing double damage, which I'm pretty sure is game. Let me just double check that, it might be close. 28 times 2, yeah, that's 5,600 with each attack, and you can attack twice. So this is definitely your finisher. In most cases though, if you have a monster like this that is really good for going in game, but doesn't have any sort of negation, disruption, removal, that tends to be a one-of. That's something that you search when you want to go for game, not something that you want to play at 3 so that you always have access to. I could be wrong, it depends if this ends up being like a hard go second deck, so I'm gonna put the other 2 in the side deck for now, but that's what I'm going to assume here. Okay, next up, Libromancer Doombroker, which I just gotta say, one, that name is fucking awesome. And I kinda like the style. Anyone who's got a big black trench coat with like a red scarf, that just jives with me. And he's got robot hands, I think, with like weird like literature fingernails. What is that, the Torah in the background? Is he Jewish? Jewish superhero? Don't see that very often. That's not actually Hebrew. I don't know what that, I think that's just gibberish. Redoer's cousin, yeah. But yeah, style aside, you can ritual summon this with any Libromancer. Okay, we can probably just skip that for now on. I doubt there's one that can't be ritual summoned with any Libromancer card. If this card is ritual summoned by using monsters on the field, it can attack directly. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During the main phase, you can set one Libromancer Trap directly from the deck. When this card inflicts battle damage, you can target one face-up monster, shuffle it into the deck. Alright, this is definitely interesting. Just a whole lot going on here. 2500 direct attacker, which is already, again, making this look more like a go second archetype, because it's able to just put in that damage and then shuffle something. Although it's a battle phase effect, you're rarely going to make it to the battle phase to use that. It's nice to have. Really, what's going to determine if this is even worth playing is whether or not the Libromancer traps are good. If this thing can search a really good trap, then you suddenly have go first potential. The ability to make something that disrupts on your opponent's turn. If not, this might not even be worth playing. I'm gonna tentatively put it as a one-of, and let's take a break from these other rituals real quick and go ahead and check out the traps. Let's see what he can search. Alright, Libromancer Displaced. This is a regular trap card. Target one Libromancer you control and one monster your opponent controls. Return your monster to the hand, and if you do, take control of that opponent's monster. Or just full stop. Not until the end of the turn. Not its effects can't be activated. It just steals a monster. Alright. If your Libromancer monster was not a ritual, the monster you took control of returns to the hand during the end phase. Oh, okay. So if you returned a non-ritual, then you don't get to keep the monster, but it still returns it to the hand. Yeah, that's like a Widow Anchor. You've got to bounce these, but if any of these gain effects on summon, then that just means that these are even more powerful. I'm not sure if you'd want to play 3 of it though. Either way, that's at least one good trap. Let's see what these other ones do real quick. This one's actually got Doombroker on it. Libromancer Intervention. When your opponent activates a card or effect, target one ritual you control, return it to the hand, and if you do, negate that activated effect. Then you can special summon a Libromancer from your hand or graveyard. You can only activate once per turn. Okay, so this is an omni negate. They have a searchable omni negate. It has to return a ritual, but I mean, you're going to ritual summon this, so you'll have it on the field at least. And then it lets you special summon something. So the goodness of this is going to depend on if we can special something that lets us plus, if any of these have more effects. It's from your hand or graveyard. Okay. Already, this is shaping up to be a complicated archetype. This is not going to be as simple as put on a whole bunch of negates or punch over everything. You're looking at a whole lot of cards that do a bunch of stuff. Alright, and finally they have a continuous trap card, Libromancer Prevented. If you control a Libromancer, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. This turn, that monster cannot be used as material for a fusion, synchro, Ixie, or link summon. Not future-proofing. It would be nice if it just said couldn't be used for an extra deck summon. You can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn during the end phase, if you control no Libromancer ritual monsters, send this card to the graveyard. Alright, this one doesn't seem as good. It might be good to side deck. It might be good in like specific formats, but I don't think I would main deck this one because stealing a monster and an omni negate are just like objectively better effects. Although if we ever get to something like Zodiac format, something where you're seeing one card extra deck monsters, having the normal summon and just being like, nah, you can't link that off to get your plays started, could be potentially useful. And the fact that you can use it every turn, pretty nice. Although the fact that that's all it does, and then it just has like a restriction, or a maintenance cost rather, it kind of meh. Alright, so we definitely have some traps worth searching. The real big question is, what else can we do? Because ending on just this and like one trap card is definitely not enough to survive in this game. You're going to need multiple pieces of disruption. So whether or not this is a go first, go second, or some kind of hybrid build is going to depend on if this is repeatable, if there's other search cards, and what other kinds of disruption they can put on. Let's go back to the ritual monsters, shall we? Libromancer Misty Girl. Look at her, she's got a little wand and everything, a little witch hat, neat. So level 4 ritual. You can ritual summon this with any Libromancer. If this was ritual summoned using monsters on the field, your opponent cannot target rituals with monster effects. If this card is special summoned, you can target one monster your opponent controls until the end of the turn, change its attack to 0, and negate its effects. You can only use this effect once per turn. Alright, so on the one hand, this gives it more capabilities as a go second deck, because being able to turn something to 0 so that you can punch in for double battle damage, that's quite cool. But what's also interesting is this is when it's special summoned, not when it's ritual summoned. So if you can properly ritual summon it on the first turn, and then activate intervention, not only do you negate whatever you have, but then you summon this and negate a monster's effect on summon. So again, you're looking at these combos. The problem with something like that, right, is you have to let them commit to 2 cards. They have to have a monster on field and then try to activate a spell, and then you can go for that 2-for-1. Alright, and finally we've got Libromancer Firestarter, who's only a level 3. You can ritual summon, okay, yeah. If this card is ritual summoned using a monster on the field, it cannot be destroyed or banished by card effects. I really like that. It's nice that they're like protection from destroyed and banished. You can still target it, negate it, you can still bounce it back to the hand, but it's immune to Mirror Jade, which will make it good in Master Duel, hopefully. Gains 200 attack every time your opponent activates a card or effect, while you control this card with less than 3,000 attack in the monster zone. Alright, so it starts at 1800. Every time they do something, it gains 200 until it gets to 3,000 and then it just stops. This doesn't seem particularly good. I don't think I would play this because it doesn't give protection to everything. It just gives protection to itself. I'll put it as a maybe. Maybe there's something that we could do with that. Alright, so we kind of know what we've got here, yet really kind of looking like this could go first or go second. Maybe a stun deck, something that sets up a couple disruptions on the first turn, and then just stops your opponent enough so that they can OTK them on turn 2. Let's go ahead and start reading through these to figure out what they do. And unlike the boss monsters, where you want to start with the highest level, I find that in the case of these support cards, especially in like ritual decks, you kind of want to start with the lower level ones, because lower level tends to mean stronger effect to make up for weaker attack. So let's start with Libromancer Geek Boy. That's a name for sure. You can reveal one ritual monster in your hand, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, add one Libromancer spell from your deck to your hand. That includes the field spell, right? It's the guy that searches the field spell. It's only level 3, but it's a free special summon. All your effects have to use cards on the field. Tentatively putting this at 3 because it searches the field spell, which you absolutely want. Let's go with the 4, Libromancer Fire. You can reveal 1 ritual in your hand, special summon this card from your hand. I'm seeing a theme here. I was worried. It kind of had those Vendread vibes, you know? You have to use monsters on the field in order to get their effects. But so far, every monster can special summon itself from the hand, so field presence is not a problem. If this is special summon, add 1 Libromancer monster? Oh, okay. Well, that's an instant 3 of. A level 4 that special summons itself and searches any monster? That just made this from check to check plus. Okay, does Magic Girl keep up the theming? Reveal a ritual monster, special summon this from your hand. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can ritual summon 1 Libromancer ritual from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels. Okay, so she's a ritual spell. And I guess that makes sense with Mystigirl because she gets an effect when summoned. Huh. I'm not exactly sure. I guess because you can search it, it's worth playing it at least 1, maybe with more. You're definitely going to want to play more of these rituals because you need to reveal them. But at the same time, as long as you have 1, you can reveal it with them. And this search is 1, this search is 1. So you kind of have to... You have to have 1 to search the other to search the other. This is very interesting. All right, let's look at our final monster, Libromancer Agent. You can reveal a ritual, special summon. Awesome. The level 6 doesn't matter. Just having a free 2000, pretty good. Target 1 Libromancer in your graveyard, except Agent, add it to your hand. Then if you added a spell trap, place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Huh. That kind of sucks as a restriction. So you can recur your spell traps, but you have to get rid of something if you do. You can recur the monsters, but you don't. I'm going to tentatively say this is a 3 of. If nothing else, just because you can use it to make most of the other rituals because it's such a high level, and it is a free special summon if you have the rituals. Alright, so now that we got all the monsters, all that's left is the spells. We've got 1 we haven't read, and let's go ahead and revisit Libromancer Bonded real quick. Now that we understand what those do, how does this work? It can ritual summon any ritual. You must tribute, yada yada. If you ritual summon Fire Burst, using Fire Starter on the field, it cannot be destroyed or banished by card effects. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's not really worth it. I guess it depends on the format. You could still be negated, you could still be targeted with other stuff. You have to ritual summon twice in order to do that, although I guess with the field spell, that's not really that bad. I'm gonna put this in the side deck. The one good thing about this is because it mentions both Fire Starter and Fire Burst, you can search this with something like Pre-Preparations of Rites, right? Like then you have a 2-for-1 in this deck, which you might want if you want to search things, but you also have to play this then, which I wouldn't play otherwise. So what's this final one? This is a continuous spell card. You can reveal 1 Libromancer ritual monster in your hand, special summon a fire token with the same level as the revealed monster. While you control that token, you cannot special summon monsters except for Libromancer monsters, and only use this effect once per turn. Interesting, so it just gives you the material for whatever you need. You don't even need the main deck monsters. I can't imagine that would be much of a problem. I guess it depends how much you're trying to ritual summon. I'm going to tentatively also put this in the side deck as like a maybe thing that you might do if you're feeling spicy. Which unfortunately kind of leaves us with a very small deck. I'm not sure exactly what we would need to bump up. We probably want to play more of the rituals, but because the rituals don't do much, they're almost like bricks if you don't also have these. These are reveal any ritual monster. Alright, so these do have synergy with other ritual support, which means it's time to go searching. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to search for ritual monsters, and we're going to type in the word ritual monster. and see what cards have support with other ritual monsters. If you're doing this on your own and you're brand new to Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever, you might have to do a lot of reading. In my case, I know what most of these are, and I know what's legal in Master Duel, which is what I'm building for, by the way. Not sure if I mentioned that. So I'm just gonna look over these real quick and see if I can find any cool synergies. Alright, so looking through these, there's a few options that I saw. One is Megalith. We could pretty easily add a Megalith engine in here, just filling the deck with a whole bunch of ritual monsters that allow these to be special summoned. You don't need the spells, and then you could easily pull off a Bethor engine, maybe focus on Bethor plus Doombroker. I'm not sure if I necessarily want to mix it with that yet, because I've played a lot of Megalith already and I'm kind of sick of it, but that's definitely an option. We've also got Incantations. You could certainly add these in. You don't really have a ritual spell to search, but having this would allow you to get a ritual monster every turn, while also just having one in the hand. So there's definitely that, although it adds some bricks to the deck, because the monster you would summon, I believe Talismandra, needs to reveal a ritual spell, and again, we're not playing a ritual spell, we're playing a field spell. And finally, there's Cyber Angel Idaten. If this is tributed, you can make all ritual monsters gain 1,000 attack and defense, which helps you OTK even harder if you want to try to go for, not Geek Boy, Fire Burst Turbo, maybe a Go Second build. More importantly though, that reminds me that there are Cyber Angels, specifically Ben 10. So Ben 10 is at 1 in Master Duel, which is unfortunate, but I think it could still be useful. When this is tributed, say for a ritual summon, you can add any light fairy from your deck to your hand. And we just so happen to have a light fairy monster who's a Libromancer who's pretty good that you can search. And of course, if we end up putting the Idaten in there, that's an alternative search as well. More importantly, this kind of opens things up for some of the other ritual support that we could have. Specifically, Diviner of the Heralds, who is not a ritual monster. We'll have to turn that out. But this girl, the patron saint of ritual monsters. If it's normal summon, send a fairy monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase this card's level. If this card is tributed, special summon a level 2 or lower fairy from your hand or deck, except for Diviner. So we can, of course, use 3 of these in combination with Herald of the Arclight. There we go. Just go ahead and fill 3 of these. If you don't know, if this card hits the graveyard, you could search a ritual monster. So we've now got a normal summon in this deck that has no normal summons. All of these are specials that searches a ritual monster that we can then use to get the rest of our plays started. Or alternatively, if you already have like a ritual and something else, this can bait out negations. This is just a master baiter right here. While I'm playing this, I might as well go ahead and put in Entis. It's probably a bit high roll, you probably only want 1, but the fact that you can normal summon this and then send something to pop if you don't need a ritual monster, always a nice little touch. While we've got fairy stuff on the mind, let's go ahead and look up fairies. Let's go ahead and switch the attribute to light, almost click divine, and let's pick ritual. And let's see if there's anything else here that might be of use. Alright, so in addition to everything else, we've also got Manju of the 10,000 hand, which is a neat little staple, perhaps, in just about every ritual deck. This might be a little too slow at this point, but it essentially accomplishes the same thing that Diviner does, right? It's a normal summon, it's a level 4 you can use for Mystigirl, and it searches you a ritual that you can use to get your plays started. You can also, I believe, none of these have any summoning restrictions. Like, you can special summon this from your hand and it doesn't lock you into anything. So you can, like, Manju, search a card, summon Libromancer Fire, go into a rank 4 Ixie perhaps? I'm not sure if you'd want to or if that's good, but it's something to consider. Alright, so at this point we're in a little bit of a unique position in Let's Build. Normally when I look at an archetype, it has a very clear win condition, one clear thing that it wants to do. And this time it's not really coming out to me. You could make the go second OTK, you could make the go first, sort of relying on the traps, but neither one is really strong enough to be built pure, especially just because of how few monsters and traps there are in this deck. So I think I am going to mix it with something. And I'm just going to go ahead with the Megaliths because I'm already familiar with them. You can add an engine on here where we're going to end on full and be able to summon Bethor during the opponent's turn, pop a bunch of cards. I believe with that in combination with the traps coming out of Doombroker, will be enough to stall for one turn, at which point being able to get Fire Burst and maybe even a Hardleg onto the field will be enough to OTK them. So this is what I would call a stun deck. Aim to go first, don't set up a super oppressive board, but just enough to slow your opponent down. If you can make it to turn 3 where your opponent doesn't have enough on field to stop you, you can just go in and punch through everything. That's at least what I'm going to try to do. I don't really have time to explain all the Megalith stuff. You'll have to watch my budget build on that. I'll just go ahead and figure out these ratios myself and come back. Alright, so after a little bit of tinkering, a little bit of finagling with the ratios, this is what we have come up with. We're playing 1 Fool to summon 1 Bethor. Hopefully we'll only have to resolve this once, and from there everything else will just take us. We're playing 3 Ophiel because it searches these 2, and it also searches Hagith. Hagith searches Unformed. Unformed gets us the Full out of the deck. So we just kind of got this little engine rolling here. May not be perfect, I may have to tweak it, but this is what I'm thinking. In order to make room for all of this, we took the Agent down to 1 because it's a recovery card anyway. We pushed the Manju down to 2. And then we, of course, added in the Master Duel tax, because you have to pay the tax man. The extra deck is not complete yet, and actually I'm not quite sure if this is the full version I want to go with. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some test hands. This is something you can do on Yugioh Pro, you can do this on Yu-Gi-Oh! Omega, you can do this on Dueling Book if you want to do it manually. Unfortunately, Master Duel does not have a way to do this. Which is one of the few big problems that it has. So we can enable deck shuffling. Yes, shuffle the deck. Starting hand size 5, and let's begin. Let's see what we can do, assuming we're going first. Can we build the kind of board that I'd like to? I'm just realizing because we opened with Bethor, we can't actually do this. Alright, so we failed this time, but that's what test hands are for. Let's go ahead and try another one, shall we? Okay, so what do we want to do here? Well, first of all, we want to add one of these, another one of these, and one of these. I'm also realizing... that's fine. Okay. Geek Boy, activate, reveal this, special summon. Activate the effect, get this. This, activate the effect, grab fire. Fire, activate, reveal the ritual, special summon, grab ourselves Doombroker. Doombroker. Then we ritual summon Doombroker using these 2. Activate the effect, set a trap, then we ritual summon with Unformed, we make full using this, Full's effect, grab this back, activate Full, summon Ophiel by attributing that off, Ophiel, grab Bethor. I grabbed the wrong one, but I guess that's fine. I had it all until there, chat. If I'd grabbed Hardleg, we would have been perfect. Okay, now let's see if I can do that again. Yeah, I don't think I need this. Yep, okay. We're getting there, chat. So, Ben 10's not doing anything. She's not doing anything. 6 normal summons might be a bit too much, but it works. Now we're having the opposite problem. We need to add something in. Emergency teleport? Sure. Alright. Normal summon. Send that. Use the effect. We need to get this, right? Yeah. use this. Get that by attributing that. Search. Okay, so that's got the Bethor online. Then we activate this. Summon. Activate. Get Geek Boy. This is a Cyberse. I'm wondering if maybe I should play that card that searches Cyberse cards. Then we field spell. We add Doombroker. Doombroker, summon. Doombroker effect. Get this. And while we're here, let's go ahead and summon this out by using this. Set a card. And then at this point, yeah, again, we're just pretending like these do something. Turn this to the hand. Special summon a Libromancer. We'll pick Fire. Fire's effect. We will get Fire Burster, probably. Oh no, Geek Boy is probably better. Yeah. Get Geek Boy. Then activate this. We're going to summon Bethor using these two. Bethor can pop many cards. Activate the effect. Yeah, we're summoning this back. We're summoning this back. We're going to activate the effect, reveal this, summon, activate Geek Boy, grab another one of these, because we can activate one this turn. That allows us to get Big Punch. We can now fusion summon the Big Punch using 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we can activate full, summon Hardleg, sending this. And every monster becomes big, big, big. We activate this, reveal, summon. We can add one and then put Doombroker on the bottom. Oh, that's what they meant. Yeah, we can grab back the spell trap, put the spell trap on bottom of our deck, activate this, summon Doombroker with this guy, and then immediately search the trap we just sent. And then hopefully this is game. Activate the trigger. Huh. Oh, all monsters gain 200? Oh, they all went down because there's one less ritual. Okay. And Fire Burst deals double anyway. Okay. If I can do that one more time, I'll consider this deck version good. This might not be able to do it because I've got a bunch of hand trap stuff. I basically opened with no Libromancer cards, which is the problem. And none of the Libromancer rituals do anything on their own. Yeah, you pretty much have to open with Geek Boy or Fire. Otherwise, you're not doing much. E-Telly or Cynet mining, yeah. I don't think I want to do Cynet mining, though. I don't have a lot to discard. Let's try that. Like, if I can do that combo twice in a row, I'll consider this deck a success. The problem is, right, that we're essentially paying two halves of a deck. And while they do help each other a little bit, It's more like they benefit from each other's existence. Like in this case, we just open with the Libromancer half of the deck, so we don't get to do any of the Megalith stuff. Yeah, Signet mining might help. Yeah, like last time we had nothing but Libromancers, and this time we have nothing but the Megaliths, right? Like we could do the full combo, but that won't be enough. The thing is, right, searching the rituals doesn't help you with the Libromancer part. You need the field spell or the main deck monsters to really get going. Like in this case, like I've got a Megalith and I've got a Libromancer, which means I've got just about everything. You do this, you add fire. Fire gets Doombroker. Yeah, like this is full combo. Okay, I'm starting to get to the point where like I can see what full combo is just by seeing what I have in my hand. There we go, and that's everything. All right, so after a whole bunch of test hands and a lot more tweaking, this is the version we came up with. We've cut things down considerably, but it works about as consistently as possible, which is not super consistent. The problem with it is that you basically have two different decks smashed together. You have the Libromancer core and you have the Megalith core. And they do interact with each other a little bit. The fact that you're running all these ritual monsters and that they're so searchable means that these non-ritual Libromancers are much more able to activate their effect. And really all you need is like either Fire or Geek Boy or the field spell. If you get any one of these three, or Terraforming, or Emergency Teleport, which searches Geek Boy, then you can do the entire Libromancer combo, which is essentially just summoning Doombroker and getting one of these traps online and getting you set up for next turn. And if you open with, you know, Megalith Unformed, or Ophiel, or Haggith, and then any way to summon it or any way to search it, which you can do with Diviner or Manju, then you can end on a Fool, which is going to be able to summon a Bethor during the opponent's turn and pop like 3 or 4 cards. And usually you can also get Emergence too, so that's reciprocal. You can not only activate this over and over again, but you can also get Phaleg out on the field. That's just going to give you a shit ton of attack, which especially combined with Fire Burst is going to make you ultra mega super OTK, just all the OTK. So you could definitely make it work. The problem is just the fact that you need these two different things, and half the time you end up opening with all Libromancers or all Megaliths. Still probably good enough to get you through gold at least, maybe even hold your own in platinum, but probably not the thing I would want to mix this with if I was going to do a ladder climb with this. There's definitely something better you can do with Libromancer. And that's kind of the limitation of this series, right? Like, I went all in and spent an hour trying to do this build, only to realize that this build is not the best build. But this is the point where you do net deck. Because now that I've played these cards, now that I've done a million billion test hands, and I know exactly the ins and outs and how everything works together, I can go watch a deck profile at like ×2 speed. I don't even have to listen to them. I can just look at what cards they have in their deck and tell instantly, oh, that's what they're trying to do. That's what the win condition is. That's why they've mixed that with that. By making the deck yourself and testing it out, you gain knowledge and insight into the archetype that you wouldn't have if you just net decked it. And that's usually my tactic whenever I do decks. I start by building my own. Sometimes I get lucky and make the best version, or sometimes the deck's just very linear. But usually I do end up getting resources, but only after I've tried to do it myself. So either way, I think I'm going to call it there. Hopefully you enjoyed this little exploration into Libromancer and what they do. I will say, I kind of like the archetype. I can see the appeal. There's something really cool about like Geek Boy, search the field spell, search fire, search Doombroker, Doombroker gets a trap. It's just all very consistent and satisfying, and I really like how the lore works together. And because there's so few restrictions, because you can use these for links or ixies or anything else, I feel like there's a lot of potential there. I mean, people in the chat have been talking about, like, would these work with Punk? Because those are psychics, and then you can make ritual summons. It's like, maybe. I mean, this is a tuner. You can make it level 6 by sending Herald of the Arclight. You might be able to make, like, a Baron de Fleur, make something else on top of that, and that would give you another form of disruption. You might be able to find, like, add in the Bentens and stuff. Who can say? Well, I guess you can say. Go out there, experiment, let me know what you thought of this video, and until next time, good luck, and read books.